I accept the findings of the Mueller report as it relates to the extensive nature of Russia's attempts to interfere with our election. But that is a wholly separate question from whether or not President Trump or any members of his team did something illegal or wrong or engaged in a criminal conspiracy with Russia to undermine the election. And so I think that Mueller was right in his analysis that Russia is a threat. I think that we need to continue to build our resiliency in that regard. But there was no there. There was never evidence that the president engaged in this activity that so many Democrats were accusing him of. So then you get to this question of obstruction of justice. And I recall vividly my conversations with the president as he was fielding these lies and accusations about what he had done, as he was trying to lead the world to a nuclear-free Korean peninsula, as he was trying to leverage China into the right type of trade relationship. And he didn't have all the tools at his disposal because of this hoax of an investigation on Russian collusion. And so he was frustrated, he was concerned, and I think there were times when he likely expressed that frustration to members of his team. That is not obstruction of justice. And so then we get from the Mueller report something that is less of an investigative document laying out facts and more of an answer to a law school essay exam where Mueller is opining about the nature of Article 2 in the Constitution and how obstruction of justice interplays with various facts. There was no charge for obstruction from Mueller. There will be no charge for obstruction from the Department of Justice. And so with that conclusion, no criminal conspiracy, no collusion with Russia, and then no charge on obstruction of justice, it's my hope we can close the book on the Mueller investigation and really probe how we got here in the first place, how we allowed our country to be torn apart for 22 months built on a lie. I'm grateful that the Attorney General always was faithful to his commitments during his confirmation to lean hard into transparency and full disclosure. Our viewers will remember that after Mueller had delivered the report to Barr, there was all kind of calamity around the allegations that Barr would redact everything. We wouldn't get to see anything. It would be his views, not Mueller's. Barr releases 92% of the Mueller report. I think that should have silenced his critics. It didn't, frankly, because they didn't like the conclusion. Right? I mean, a lot of folks on the left really believed that this Mueller investigation was going to show that Donald Trump was an agent of the Russian government. We knew that was ludicrous, but when they were let down by the results, they blamed the messenger. It is undeniable that we are investigating the investigators now, and with good reason. Under the leadership of Jeff Sessions, you sort of had the inmates running the asylum over at the senior leadership of the Department of Justice. Jeff Sessions was not a strong leader. He was not the head of the Department of Justice as the Attorney General. He functioned more as an employee over there. Now we've got a real Attorney General. And Attorney General Barr understands that the politics of the moment can't guide whether or not we will allow our institutions to be degraded by this type of political activity. What I think, and so I think there are really three layers of what the investigations of the investigators will include. I think first, the leaks. You know, you had pervasive leaks coming out of the FBI, and I want an FBI that investigates facts, that brings cases, not an FBI that thinks that it's their job to shape public opinion. And under the leadership of Jim Comey and Andrew McCabe, the FBI became sort of like a convoluted PR machine rather than an investigative body. So I think we got to investigate that. Second thing we're going to do to investigate the investigators will be the fraud before the secret FISA courts. And I know your viewers are very sophisticated. They followed that closely. It frankly was Judicial Watch that did a lot of the litigating to try to unlock the facts that showed the bias that led into that proceeding before a secret court where information was improperly used, was misrepresented, was not provided the proper context about the lies and foreign influences that had gone into the underlying dossier that was really the foundation of the investigation. And then the third area that I think we'll look into are the corrupt motives that germinated out of the Obama White House. I mean, you continued to see text messages, again, that Judicial Watch helped us obtain, between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page referencing the Obama White House, referencing then President Obama. And so we've got to learn if Clapper and Brennan and Sally Yates, other people involved with the Obama administration, were allowing their bias against the president to manifest in a corrupt investigation. This is sort of like following the bouncing ball. First it was that he was an agent of the Russian government. False. Then it was, he'd obstructed justice. No charges. Now they're digging into the president's finances, his tax returns, his blood type, his sperm count, whether or not he uses Propecia. I think that this is the level of absurdity that we have now reached as it relates to President Trump's life, and it feels like we're on the same witch hunt. We've just chosen a different broomstick in these bizarre investigations, but there is real risk to Democrats that they're overplaying their hand here. I think most people out there in the country, they want to live prosperous lives, they want our country to do well, and they see these efforts to distract the president as an effort to undermine the country, because we're not at our best when our president is constantly having to deal with these bogus and kind of haywire theories that continue to be concocted by Democrats in Congress.